All right, so there is one other kind of food prison that we need to address that people seldom consider but remains true all the more. Here's the thing, a lot of people have taken the weight off and they've kept it off, but they still suffer the same food obsession and the same food issues. So I don't call that success. That's not food freedom. So you see a lot of these people, they're celebrated online on social media because they've lost so much weight and they've been able to keep it off. And that is something that even haunts them even more because they're so paranoid and afraid to go back to the weight they used to be, that they're haunted by big fat ghosts of their past, and they become even more obsessed with number crunching, with thoughts of food, with obsession about food, with carbs and macros and calories. And don't forget, the more you obsess in your thoughts and your feelings about these things, the more you crowd out more productive thoughts and feelings that could be better lent to other purposes that are more constructive and productive in terms of your overall wellness and self-esteem. So I call this people who are haunted by big fat ghosts of their past, or they're haunted by their big fat past. So what happens is they lose the weight, but in so doing, the journey doesn't take them to food freedom. They become even more constrained and even more obsessed about food, when to eat, how to eat. I had one client who joined with me, and he had lost a certain amount of weight, had kept it off for a long time, but he was weighing himself several times a day, like 6, 7, 8 times a day, was completely obsessed, completely OCD about his food. He wasn't living food freedom. So he had taken the weight off, but really, like so many other people, he had just exchanged big fat prison bars of his past with thin shiny chrome prison bars of his present. And a lot of people say, well, that's a worthy trade-off. Actually, it's not a worthy trade-off. I had another client one time who would lock herself in a closet late at night crying because of upcoming social events or holidays like Thanksgiving or Christmas, etc. So it really is still a food prison, even though the outside, the appearance is cosmetically friendly and everyone's celebrating and everyone's clapping and applauding the success of the weight loss, which is one thing, and that's fine, but it's internalized by that person to be even more obsessed about food, calorie tracking, macros, all these other things, and that's not food freedom. So don't be deceived by these things. I've seen these people being celebrated on various social media popular websites in the fitness game, only to recount all that years down the road, just to tell people just how obsessed and orthorexic they became about food and calories and everything else. So don't be deceived that weight loss solves living life inside the thin cage and being and celebrating food freedom. They are not the same thing. So food freedom is when you can get about living your life and having your thoughts go to more constructive and productive purposes of wellness overall, and food is only a small part of that. Taking care of yourself nutritionally with self-acceptance and self-nurturing behavior is a far different thing than obsessing over these things. So be careful. A lot of you out there are still suffering the ghosts of your big fat past, or suffering big fat ghosts of your past, and that is not food freedom. So hopefully this helped, and of course you can see all my other videos as well. Always meant to help, and always trying to open your eyes to certain things that you may not be able to see out front.